right, welcome back to the Command Your Brand Show. I'm your host, Josh Silvestro, brand ambassador of Command Your Brand. So we actually interview a lot of CEOs and founders, and we actually interview a lot of great guests here. So in this episode, we actually have a very special guest speaker who is just a really amazing creative producer, and he's just, he's a director actually. And he works with this company that I'm really kind of fascinated to kind of learn more about. So I'd like to introduce you guys to Jim. Jim, thanks for joining the show, man.
Hi, Josh. It's great to be here. I've been excited about getting on this podcast for a while. So it's great to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks, man. So I guess for people who don't know or who want a little bit more about you and just kind of know what your company is, could you just describe, I guess, a little bit about your company, but also your background of why you started this company or why you're in this company, rather?
Okay. I'll cover that in a couple of different angles. So number one, the name of the business is Giotto Design. Mm-hmm. So we're a graphic design and branding company, and we're based in Oakville, Ontario. So we're always affiliated with people in Toronto and the businesses that in that area. So the way our business started, our design studio, was going back 18 years now, where my wife and I decided to venture out and start our own design studio based on the ethics that we had, the desires we had with regards to the type of clients we wanted to work with, and to cater to them specifically. So we've worked a lot with companies that are in the food service industry, and also when it comes to health and wellness. And one of our all-time favorite clients is in the apparel industry. So,
wow. Yeah, that's awesome. And so how did you start this? Like, what made you decide, I want to start this company, or I'm going to work in this company because I'm just very passionate about it? Like, what made you passionate about this one?
Well, I've always been really passionate about all things to do with design and branding in general. So the term advertising was something I've always had in my head for the longest time, because I'm dating myself, like I'm 52 years old right now. So wow. There was a long time ago that was advertising was the hot word and everything. And I loved trying to bring a brand to life, to get them seen by more eyes in all different mediums. So whether it was through print, video, on TV, it didn't matter. It was just trying to get the brand and everything to do with that brand looking incredible and very desirable to the consumers. So what we did, we focused, as I've mentioned, finding the right clientele who were interested in not doing the cookie cutter type of graphics, the standard type of marketing and advertising. So we were very fortunate throughout the years, even through the pandemic, to retain incredible clients all these years so that we could help them carry on building and growing their businesses and getting more customers.
Yeah. I find it so cool because there's always, in no matter what field you're in, even if you own the business or not, there's some creativity that you have to do with it, because if you're not creative with it, then it doesn't kind of grow. It doesn't really expand to what you want to do. So for people who are maybe sometimes struggle with that, they don't know what to do or what they should do, what do you suggest to those people who are, because a lot of my audiences are CEOs and founders, right? So what do you think is the one thing that people should start working on, or how do you think they should be more creative in their space?
So that is a beautiful word, creativity.
Yeah.
It's a word that's lacking a lot these days, and the action of being truly creative is being lost because of the way people see how the work is getting done. The way I'm going to describe this is basically they pass it off to somebody who might not really be fully engrossed in the company or the way they're going to talk to their audience. They're going to piggyback off of things that were done in the past. And they're not looking into brand new venues, brand new ways of seeing things. There's so much gold to be found in things that have been overlooked, ways to market to and to sell your ideas to people that might not have ever seen it. So what I'm trying to say here is changing, for example, with regards to packaging. If you have a ketchup, you might say, and they put it in a typical bottle like Heinz and French's type of ketchup, it's going to be just one of many sitting on a shelf. But if you were to put it in something completely unique, something that is co-branded with another product per se, in an environmentally friendly, sustainable product packaging, you're going to stand out far more than your competitors. And that's what we try to do with our clients, help them see things very differently. And that covers all aspects of it, from the design, the look, the packaging, the tonality of the brand. All of those things need to be considered. And a lot of people don't do that as much. They kind of just get the job done as quick, as cheap as possible. So you kind of cut corners, and cutting corners actually cuts profits.
Yeah, it's very interesting because like you have to somehow figure out a way to actually really put things together so that it works and you can actually, people in the audience can actually see it and actually make it real for people to buy something.
Okay.
What do you find is the key or the best ways to actually put the creativity and like make the either the best product or a better product to advertise? Like, what is your input on that?
So it's assessment is what's key. So what's working for a company? When we go in and we have our uh, initial conversation with the client, we like to find out, what are you doing? What's working? What hasn't been working? What have you tried? What have you thought of potentially trying? And helping them navigate these crazy waters that basically can sink a ship or help it propel it flying into new lands that they've never even thought of. So most companies need to start experimenting a whole lot more with different, like, for example, social media. They're all starting to dabble into it, but there's a whole incredible variety of places that you can market, and you can tap into clients that you might have never thought were available to you, because you've always focused on going down a certain way, a certain type of branding that only catered to that specific client. If companies were to open their eyes a little bit more and say, follow the chain, where did that person originate from? Who do they know? How can we get to them? And appealing to, I wouldn't say a broader audience, but a different audience, to see where that leads.
Hmm. Yeah, it's so true because like I find that when, there's certain companies on social media, they really tagline themselves like it in one direction, and sometimes people like it and some people don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen this. I don't know if you're a big technology type person. Like Apple, when they had this whole ad where, they were smashing all these like different pieces, like they had an advertisement of the new iPad, and it was like basically they were smushing like these pianos and other like paintings and other stuff, and they smushed it, and then it came out to be an iPad, and everyone just hated it because it looked like they just destroyed the old and came with the new, and
Yeah.
and like you just saw people like online, like on X and on Facebook and Instagram, they're like, what is this? Like it just destroyed everything, and they had to do a formal apology just for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that in itself is a great example. Apple is one of the pioneers in revolutionizing advertising. They've broken ground and made whole new markets and categories based on their way of advertising and conveying to customers. And that's a great example. They tested something out. It didn't work so well. It might have really inspired a certain category of client that never would have been interested in them, because they've always been catered to in a different way. And they're like, that's not for me. But this new, crazy way of advertising, the product being put together, might have appealed to a huge variety of tech savvy people who thought, I love that. I could see how it's working. So that's a great case example. Apple, how innovative they are when it comes to completely new ways of advertising and thinking.
Yeah. And I guess for like, I'm sure you probably deal with this. Like, I know, some like doctors and sometimes even other companies, they try to develop their own product. And I think, sometimes they have a hard time marketing to the right person, or even, now, I don't know if you noticed this, I've definitely noticed this over the past 5 or 6 years, where now the advertising is eco-friendly, or it's like, the packaging is all
Yeah.
paper, it's all recyclable. I feel like these are like sometimes they're key advertising words to kind of incentivize people to buy it without feeling horrible
Yeah.
that it's going to be horrible for the planet, if you know what I mean.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know? And I guess like, do you think that's just is it actually uh, what's the right word? Like, is it actually a stunt where like they're just marketing or like advertising terms, or do you think these are actually real issues or things that people should be talking about or using?
They're definitely touching points on hot topics that the average person is aware of, is concerned about. Again, going back into the days where when I was younger in the 70s and 80s, people didn't care, for example, with regards to their garbage. You would see somebody throw a whole bag of garbage out their window on the freeway driving
Yeah.
along. Obviously, that does not happen nearly as much now. So the times have changed and the way all of this stuff is happening. So by going back to listening to the clients and the customers out there and seeing that they are concerned about plastics and toxic chemicals in foods and packaging and all these different things, they're doing two things. They're appeasing a demand that's being asked for by their customers, and they're also using it as marketing tactics. That's a given because some of them, a little shady, they might say it's this, it's really not 100% recyclable, straight into the landfill, but again, you have to sift through all that. And at least you're trying at the end of the day as a customer, as a consumer, to buy the safe, healthier alternatives and the proper packaging. And if the company that's promoting that and pushing that through is on board with actually making a legitimate, eco-friendly, sustainable, wonderful product, then everybody wins in that respect.
Yeah.
So it's not a trend that's going to come and go. It's 100% going, and it's just going to keep going every year as we go.
Yeah. What do you think? It's out of curiosity, because I know you're very into the whole innovative space. What do you think people, because I know a lot of people have trouble with trying to market to the right clients and make it more for them, but sometimes they don't know how to actually market to them or how to actually promote to them. Like, what do you think would be the right tools or things that people can do to market to those people? Like, let's say they have a product of some kind or a service. What do you think would be the right thing for them to do as a business owner?
So market research is key. So there are companies out there who have a product, have a service, they've planned it out themselves. It's something that they need, uh, a product that they know is going to sell. They know so many people want it, but they haven't done the full on research to really see how that would translate into real dollars and cents when it comes to people buying that product. So preliminary research, as in literally just talking to friends, talking to family, going on LinkedIn, going on to Reddit, different places like that, and going out onto those platforms and kind of like a teaser out there. I've got this great new product coming up. There's this service. Who's interested in it? Now that's pretty blunt in regards to that. It has to be more savvy than that, but there's been case studies out there where a company, for example, they needed a spokesperson, a model for a specific product, but they were having a really hard time internally figuring out what specific gender, not gender. Well, they knew the gender had to be female,
Yeah.
but what look and feel and style that person had to be. Was it a celebrity? Was it not an athlete? Whoever, and they didn't want to spend a ton of money going through the whole process of packaging and marketing and branding with one person to find out that it flopped. So they, in a bit of a sneaky way, they did some test mock-ups of products using a variety of these different people's faces and stuff like that. And they just sent it out there. They did like this mock ad campaign,
Yeah.
and they got immediate feedback. They knew that everybody loved Model A, nobody cared for Model B. And without even having to hire that person, they tested the waters and they found Model A. That was the one to go with. Perfect. So this kind of thing can benefit a company where they say they already have an existing company and things are going okay, but not fantastic. And they're thinking, let's introduce new products. Okay. Well, before we just jump on it and go and throw a product out there, what if we really talk to our customers? The people who
Mm,
are really happy with our product right now, get some dialogue going. Are you interested? We're thinking of doing this. I know it's not us. It's not really what you expect from us, but we're thinking of it. What would you think? Would you buy something like that? Cost you nothing. And it saves you potentially millions of dollars in the end.
yeah. I find it interesting too because one of the things that people do, they just kind of try things and then they don't really look at what they're doing wrong. They just
Mhm,
kind of like to try and experiment on different things. They never really ask the question of what's interesting to you or
mhm.
what do you like, what don't you like, what style is better, what suits fits in a different audience. I think, I
Yeah.
know you're really good at branding and like getting that brand sort of known and like having that niche really fit perfectly with something.
Mhm.
And for you, I guess, like, as a creative director and as a, entrepreneur for the most part,
Yeah.
what do you find in terms of branding? What do you think, how should people interpret or how should people really get into getting themselves more of a brand and more like in a specific niche, if that makes sense?
Right. Okay. The thing that's interesting with branding, people automatically associate branding, my logo. Okay, my
Mm,
fonts, my colors. Okay, well, that totally is, it's all merged into it all. But there's a lot more than that. So when it comes to, um, let's go back to Apple as a great example.
yeah.
It doesn't take more than a split second to know you're holding an Apple product to see an Apple advertisement because their brand is so well thought out from the smallest little nuance, the smallest little detail to the big, big deals, the brand new releases of new products and how they even convey that. So when I talk to our clients, when I say your branding, this is more than just your logo, more than the sign on the door. This is the way you are conveying yourself to your customers. What is your customer service like? How are they speaking to people? People want to associate company X with unbelievable service and quality, and everything that they've ever touched or experienced from that brand is reflective in it consistently, cohesively, all the way through. So companies need to really think in broad terms of what their brand is. Even the uniforms, the colors of the clothing that the people are wearing, how are the trucks done? All of these things are very important, and they shouldn't be a mismatch of one idea thrown mixed with this idea and this idea. There has to be consistency clear across the board. And if you are going to innovate and you are going to change a brand look and feel, you can do it in a way of two ways. You can do it so it's like a brand new reveal. Business is going on as usual, but behind the scenes, all of this collective work is being done to create a fresh new brand. And all the details have been figured out so that you can announce, and this actually acts as a new marketing leverage point where you can say, listen, we've been doing this for all these years, and now we're doing this, the big reveal. So you get this buzz happening, this big excitement happening, and you're not going to shock your customers where it's like, I'm not familiar with that anymore. I don't understand. Why did you do that? So it gives you a whole new venue to advertise on top of your advertising.
Yeah. That's so cool. It's like, it's such a really fascinating thing to me, like how, all these things, like you kind of need all these components and things just to make things work. It's such a really
Yeah.
cool thing,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and how creative and how like you really have to just really know your space a bit to kind of really branch and like change certain things. So it's more approachable. So it's kind of
That's
really
right.
interesting to me.
That's right.
That's yeah. What do you find just out of curiosity with people who are trying to be creative or trying to, um, either create a logo or trying to release a new product? What do you find are some key mistakes that people make in terms of that area?
We've encountered a lot of clients who have made some pretty big mistakes, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't call some of them even really mistakes. It was like you did what you could with what you had at the time.
Right.
Great example are startups. Startups half the time really don't have the funding to do all the correct work that's required to get their product perfectly branded, the look and feel established right from the get-go. Now, we've been called in a number of times where a whole series of products and things that have been worked on and look great to the client, only to find out that it flopped or it was not doing well on the market, in the market at all. So we got called in to redo all that was previously done. And this is a good example with this. You go and get a inexpensive logo quickly done, just so you have a logo. There wasn't a lot of thought, a lot of really complex logic put into that logo. It was just a cheap thing put there. You get your business cards done, you get your sign done, you get your packaging done, you get your t-shirts done. All these things are, you think you're doing a good job when you find out the logo nobody likes, doesn't make sense. You're losing business because people aren't identifying your brand at all. Now you have to go and properly get the logo done, but then you've got to go backtrack and do all those other things that you've spent the money on and redo it,
Oh
which is
man.
a huge. So you saved yourself maybe $5,000 in the beginning getting a cheap 99-cent logo done.
Yeah.
Only and then you paid all this other money, but now you're paying $60,000 to get everything redone because of that shortcut that you took. So we try to discourage people from just the knee-jerk reaction. I just got to get my product out there. No. Hold off, do the research, do the feelers, get those things out there, and then move forward correctly.
Yeah. And I guess for you, because you're in this whole space, in your business, what do you find people need the most help with? Or what do people have trouble with that maybe sometimes they don't realize they have trouble with, but they actually need the help with the most?
Understanding how their customers will respond to the products, the services that they have. They need help understanding how to break through the chaos, the clutter out there, because every day is just getting more and more convoluted, more and more, so much more noise out there. And they need us to help them find ways to shout louder, speak clearly, to get in front of the right people so you don't have to shout over that crowd, because the actual crowd you were really looking for are quietly waiting over there in the corner. So it's like looking into those different areas and helping them figure this out in advance of spending money or spending too much money, and also to helping them see things in a newer way. There are people and many companies out there who have they are very much set in their ways. They think, I'm not changing. I don't have to change. We're making money. We've even had companies that we've worked with that didn't even have a website.
Oh my God.
They didn't have a website
Yeah.
because they thought, I'm making sales every day. I don't need to have a website. And we have to explain to them, yes, you do. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be this big bells and whistles website, but it has to be there to give you credibility with a new generation of people that are going to be your clients that need and expect these type of things from you. So we kind of have to help walk them through the changes that are happening and how they relate to them, to their customers, and to how to speak to them.
Wow. It's just such a wild thing how much attention to detail. I think particularly you're in detail of like how all these things work and how you need to have all these things in order to have a really successful business or a successful brand in order to forward a mission or to forward a business, which I think it's, I see the importance of why this happens in business, or what they actually kind of fail in is that they don't either promote enough or they don't have their, excuse my French, their shit together to where they're actually like to really promote themselves,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and that's the thing. You got to get your ducks in a row. It's as simple as that. And again, everybody needs to have, you have your employee reviews on a monthly, yearly basis. you also have to have an audit for your business and to see where are you standing right now as opposed to your competitors, where you're thinking of going, where you've been. That needs to be conducted on a definitely at minimum every year. Things are moving so fast these days. The competition is coming at you in all different directions. And if you're not, you know, agile and pivoting and changing, you're going to sink. And we don't want that to happen for any of our clients. So that's the whole goal. Help them out. And, it doesn't have to be a whole new brand design. You got to change this. No, you can do things in small increments, but very much with impact as you move through those different incremental changes.
Wow. Yeah, it's so true because I find if you don't do the necessary changes, then you're out of luck with your business.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I guess out of curiosity, could you explain a little bit more on your business in terms of the services that you provide and what you help with actually?
Okay, for sure. So, one of our favorite things that we love to do is the branding, and that would incorporate things to make our clients look fantastic on all different areas. So the touch points would be packaging.
Mhm.
Things like logo design are definitely one of our biggest and favorite things we like to do. Um, when it comes to conventional advertising, which is almost a word you don't hear as much anymore, we'll call it marketing for this day and age.
Yeah.
Um, Helping them with marketing campaigns in regards to, you know, not as tech, it doesn't have to be as technical, but helping them get in front of customers in a way that's different. So I like to merge things together a little bit. So one of our clients, for example, in the apparel industry, we do display systems for them. And it's just another way for us to have their products put into a store where it stands out, it screams to the client, and it just makes it fun. It's interactive, it's unique. So we like finding ways to approach a challenge like that, how to stand out in a store where you're not allowed to stand out. What can we do to make things different? Promo campaigns, for example. How do you stage something in a way that's in a store? It's not a problem for the store owners, and it's inviting and exciting and lucrative for the clients and their customers as well. So we do all of those type of things and brainstorming big ideas when it comes to what I just mentioned. We love doing those sit downs with our clients and figuring all these things out too.
Wow, that's awesome. And could you give us an example or give us like a story of like, wow, I really just helped this person go from nothing to something, like what's one of your favorite success stories that you've had in your business?
Okay. So we're also very much in the health and wellness side of things. So
Yeah.
we had a wonderful, wonderful lady. She's a personal trainer. And well, actually, we met her at a gym, and dialogue started to come up, and she wanted to start changing up the way she was teaching people and how she was getting her message across to people. So the fun thing was, with a lot of wonderful conversations at the gym of all places, we we ended up helping her brand herself. So she became a small little company,
Mhm.
and her look and feel was beautiful. It was so approachable. It was her tonality was spot on. So everybody who knew her said, that is you 100%. And it's beyond just you. It's now a business we see you as. And we don't feel like you're a corporation that's untouchable. This is still you, but so much more. And because of that, she was able to leverage her new branding to get gigs with big corporations to become a health and wellness speaker on different platforms and different stages. She even ended up writing a book, and she just blew up. It was the most amazing thing to see. And it was so much fun to see how she went from somebody who was one on one personal training, doing a great job, to helping thousands and thousands of people at the same time, and with a whole new prestigious look that she just was so proud of. Everybody loved seeing it. And it was just one of those really feel good kind of case studies that we have. And yeah, I love that type of story.
That's great, man. Well, Jim, I really appreciate the time you've given us to kind of really answer a lot of questions about what you do and just the whole concept of branding and just innovation. So I really want people to actually understand, like, I really want people to get to know you and just really get to know your company. Maybe they would want your help with their branding. Where is a good place they can reach out to you or find more info about you?
Yeah, it's all in a nice, clean spot. And that's our website, which is um, Giotto, Geoto design.ca.
Awesome. Well, Jim, I really appreciate the time that you've given us and asking a lot of questions. And, of course, I know you probably have a busy man, just being here for however long. It was just really fantastic. And just, I really loved talking to you and just what you have to say about branding. And, really, honestly, just it's such a good educational thing just to kind of learn how to actually do these things. Because a lot of people just don't know how to do these things, which I really appreciate the time you've given us for that.
Well, thank you. This is a
Yeah.
fantastic opportunity. I had
Yeah.
fun. This is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. This is great, right? And
Yeah.
of course, people who are listening, I thank everyone for listening. If you guys like this stuff, please like and subscribe and smash the subscribe button. And I'll see you next time. And Jim, thanks for joining the show, man.
Thank you, Josh.